What if the strongest version of you doesn't announce itself? What if real transformation is not loud but silent? Not posted but practiced? Not seen but built? We live in a world obsessed with noise, with updates, with validation. Everyone wants to be seen working. Few are willing to just work. Everyone wants applause halfway through the journey. But the truth is, greatness doesn't clap for itself. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you focused so deeply, so obsessively on your own growth that you forgot to tell anyone about it? When was the last time you went to war for your goals, not to prove something to others, but to prove something to yourself? We've been conditioned to believe that sharing is progress, that posting your dream somehow brings it closer, that broadcasting your ambition gives it power. But the reality? Most people talk themselves out of transformation. They expose the seed before it ever takes root. And once it's in the light, it's vulnerable to doubt, to distraction, to noise. But not you. This video isn't about shouting. It's about building, quietly, with discipline, with focus, with no need for likes, for approval, for recognition. This is about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just chase greatness, but embodies it every day behind closed doors when no one's watching, because that's when it counts. That's when it's real. This is your permission to go silent, to go deep, to retreat from the noise, and not to hide, but to prepare. Because silence is not weakness, it is strategy. It is strength that doesn't need to be announced. It is discipline that doesn't need a witness. It's the calm before the breakthrough. Understand this, the man who builds in silence is dangerous because no one sees him coming. While others are distracted by showing progress, he's making it. While others are busy proving, he's becoming. And when he finally steps out, it's not with potential, it's with power. So if you felt misunderstood, unseen, overlooked, good. That means your power is still intact. That means your energy hasn't been scattered. That means your roots are growing, silently, deeply. And soon, the world won't be able to ignore what you've built. This is your reminder. Stop announcing, start aligning, stop explaining, start executing, stop seeking validation, start mastering you. In this video, we're going to explore the mindset required to build yourself quietly, to focus on your own path with such intensity that the outside world fades. No noise, no need for applause, just relentless growth, unshakable discipline, and results that speak louder than words ever could. Let's begin. One of the biggest traps on the path to greatness is this: sharing too early. You set a goal, feel a spark of excitement, and your first instinct is to tell the world, to announce it, to post it. I'm starting a business. I'm changing my life. I'm working on something big. And for a moment, you feel proud. You feel seen. But then something strange happens. The momentum dies. The motivation fades. The fire weakens. Why? Because you got your reward too early. You got the dopamine without the discipline, the applause without the effort, and now the real work feels harder than ever. This is the danger of premature validation. You traded the grind for the glory before you earned it. You have to understand something. Your brain is wired for efficiency. If it gets the reward before the effort, it no longer feels the urgency to pursue the goal. It thinks the work is already done. That's why so many people get stuck in the almost phase. They talk a good game, they start strong, but they don't finish because they've already been fed. When you build quietly, you deny yourself that shortcut. You don't get the comfort of applause, and that's the point. You don't want comfort. You want progress. You want to feel the resistance. You want the hunger to stay. That's what turns effort into excellence. The second danger is external pressure. When you announce your plans to the world, you don't just get support. You get scrutiny. You get expectations. And suddenly your focus shifts. You're no longer building for you. You're building for them. You're performing. You're adjusting your path to please people who aren't even on the journey. That's when the mission gets distorted. You start comparing. You start doubting. You start hesitating because someone online said something, or because someone in your life questioned you. But when you build in silence, none of that matters. There is no audience. There is no pressure. There is only progress, one brick at a time. Ask yourself honestly, how much energy have you wasted trying to look successful instead of becoming it? How many times have you altered your path for optics? How often have you slowed down just to explain your moves to people who were never going to understand your vision in the first place? You don't owe the world an explanation. You owe yourself results. Building quietly protects your dream while it's still fragile. It keeps it away from judgment, doubt, and distraction. And most importantly, it gives you space to become, not just to talk, but to evolve. Because here's what the legends know. Real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. A lion doesn't need to roar to remind you who it is. Neither do you. If you truly believe in what you're building, you won't need to post about it every day. You'll be too busy working, too focused, too deep in the zone to even care what anyone thinks. That's the energy you need to adopt, the energy of quiet conviction. So next time you feel the urge to share, pause. Ask yourself, am I seeking validation or am I seeking mastery? And if the answer is validation, redirect that energy into the work, into the reps, into the quiet, consistent execution that no one sees, but that you will feel. Because when you finally emerge, when the results are undeniable, you won't need to explain anything. The work will speak louder than your words ever could, and that's the moment when silence turns into legacy. If this is resonating with you, subscribe and like the video. In a world obsessed with oversharing, privacy has become a superpower. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be noticed. But few understand the value of what's not said, what's not shown, what's kept sacred. You have to ask yourself, why are you sharing so much? Why do you feel the need to post your every move, your every struggle, your every step? Most of the time, it's not about connection. It's about validation. It's about proving to the world that you're doing something meaningful instead of simply doing it. The truth is, your goals don't need an audience. They need execution. Your healing doesn't need to be broadcasted. It needs to be lived through. Your plans don't need to be public. They need to be protected. And when you understand that, when you begin to value privacy as a form of power, your whole life shifts. Because what you keep private, you keep pure. You keep it untouched by opinions, projections, and expectations. You allow your ideas to grow without outside noise. You give yourself room to fail, to adjust, to evolve, without an audience dissecting your every move. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Privacy gives you control. It gives you the ability to pivot without explanation, to change directions without being questioned, to make decisions based on alignment, not on how they'll be perceived. When no one knows your every step, no one can interfere with your rhythm. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. This doesn't mean you move in secrecy out of fear. It means you move with intention. You share with purpose. You protect what matters until it's strong enough to stand on its own. Think of the greatest creators, leaders, builders. They don't move loud. They move clear. They show the results, not the rehearsal. They show the finished product, not every draft. Why? Because the process isn't meant to be public. It's meant to be sacred. That's where the real transformation happens. In the dark, behind closed doors, away from the spotlight. When you keep things private, you take back your power. You stop asking for permission. You stop seeking applause. You become the sole owner of your mission, your timeline, your vision. And that ownership, it builds a different level of confidence. A quiet, unshakable certainty that doesn't need to be fed by likes or approval. Here's a hard truth. The more people know about your personal life, your struggles, your moves, the more control they have over your energy. Every time you share something vulnerable with the wrong audience, you give them leverage. Not because they're evil, but because they don't value what you value. and their words, their judgments, their confusion seeps into your mind and alters your path. You have to become ruthless about what you let in. You have to protect your peace like it's a vault, because it is. And once that vault is cracked open to just anyone, it's nearly impossible to keep your focus clean. That's why privacy is not just a practice. It's a discipline, a daily choice. The choice to hold certain things close, the choice to let your actions speak, the choice to stay grounded in the storm of other people's noise. So start today. Set boundaries around your energy. Stop sharing your every move with people who haven't earned that access. Stop giving the world a front row seat to your transformation before it's ready to be seen. Let them wonder, let them assume, let them talk. You build it quietly, relentlessly, authentically. And when it's time to speak, let the results make the noise. Comparison is a thief, not just of joy, but of identity. And in the age of endless scrolling, it's become a daily habit for most people. You open your phone, and within seconds, you're bombarded with highlight reels. Someone's success, someone's beauty, someone's luxury, someone's perfect life. And without realizing it, you start to feel behind, inadequate, not enough. But here's what you have to understand. Comparison is not just damaging, it's delusional. You're comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's carefully crafted front. You're judging your chapter 2 against their chapter 20. And even worse, you're basing your worth on a false perception, built from curated angles, filters, and selective storytelling. You don't know what's real. You don't know the sacrifices they made. You don't know what they're hiding behind the smile. And yet you let their image define your progress? That's not fair to you. That's not fair to your journey. Comparison is a distraction disguised as ambition. It feels like motivation. But really, it pulls you away from your path. You stop building what's meant for you because you're too busy watching someone else build what's meant for them. You lose your originality trying to copy a blueprint that was never written for your life. And here's the worst part. Comparison breeds resentment. Resentment towards others, resentment towards yourself. It turns admiration into envy and gratitude into scarcity. You start to see the world through a lens of not enough. Not enough time, not enough progress, not enough talent. And when that mindset takes root, it poisons your focus. So how do you kill comparison? You focus on progress, not perfection. You measure backwards, not sideways. Instead of asking, am I where they are? Ask, am I further than I was last month? Instead of scrolling through someone else's story, start writing your own. Every day, brick by brick, you stay in your lane, you get clear on what success means for you. Not what it looks like on Instagram, not what your parents expect, not what your peers are chasing, but what you know you're here to do. And once you're clear on that, the noise gets quieter. The need to keep up fades because you realize you're not behind. You're not lost. You're just building something different. You practice gratitude. Not the surface level, write 3 things down kind, but deep, anchored gratitude. The kind that says, what I have right now is enough to keep moving. That mindset doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you grow from a place of strength, not lack. And above all, you limit your exposure. You cannot scroll for 3 hours a day and expect clarity. You cannot consume comparison all morning and expect to feel empowered. Your inputs shape your identity, and if your inputs are filled with artificial perfection, your sense of reality will warp. You'll chase things you don't even want. You'll desire a life that isn't yours, and in that chase, you'll lose yourself. So protect your vision, protect your feed, protect your time, not out of fear, but out of intention. Because if you don't set the boundaries, comparison will walk right in and take everything. Your peace, your focus, your authenticity. This is your reminder that you don't need to be like anyone else. You're not falling behind. You're not off track. Your timeline is valid. Your pace is enough. And if you stay focused on your mission, yet not theirs, you'll arrive exactly where you're meant to be. Let them chase the spotlight. You chase clarity. Because in the end, it's not the loudest or the most seen who win. It's the most aligned, the ones who stopped comparing, the ones who locked in on their lane, the ones who kept building quietly until the world could no longer ignore them. Now ask yourself, what could you create if you stopped comparing? What would your life look like if you stopped scrolling and started building? That's where the power is. That's where the peace lives. And that's the path most will never take. But you can, starting now. Here's a truth most people aren't ready for. Your next evolution won't come with applause. It won't be posted. It won't be validated. It won't even be noticed, not at first. Because real growth, real transformation, it happens in silence, in private, in moments when no one is watching and no one is cheering. We live in a world obsessed with exposure. If it's not shared, it didn't happen. But the reality is, the most powerful version of you will be built in the dark. While others are performing, you're preparing. While others are posting, you're progressing. Quietly, relentlessly, with no audience, no recognition, and no guarantee. And that's what makes it real, because when you can train without praise, when you can work without validation, when you can push without permission, you become dangerous, unstoppable, unshakable. Not because the world believes in you, but because you do. Let this sink in. Lions don't announce when they're hunting. They move in silence, focused, calculated, and then, when it's time, they strike. That's how you move now, like a lion, like a builder, like someone with nothing to prove and everything to create. You don't need to talk about your goals. You don't need to update the world with every step. You need to take the steps, quietly, daily, without noise. Because noise is cheap, but execution is rare. And if you're serious about changing your life, then your work has to get louder than your words. You see, becoming unrecognizable isn't about looking different. It's about being different, thinking differently, choosing differently, reacting differently. While others hit snooze, you rise. While others waste hours, you sharpen skills. While others repeat old patterns, you rewrite your blueprint, brick by brick. And when you do this long enough, something happens. You start to feel it before the world sees it. A shift in your posture, a new rhythm in your steps. The thoughts in your head begin to change. The voice that used to whisper doubt, it gets quieter. And the one that says, keep going, it gets louder. That's the signal. That's the proof. You're evolving. But here's the secret. The world won't recognize you until you no longer recognize yourself. Until the way you move, speak, think, act feels foreign to the person you used to be. That's when you know you've done it right. When your own habits shock you. When your own discipline impresses you. When your future self starts becoming your current self. You didn't post about it. You didn't broadcast it. You just became it. And that version of you, it cannot be denied. So if you feel invisible right now, if you feel like no one sees the work you're doing, good. Stay there. That's the proving ground. That's the place where champions are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. Where the fire is built, where the identity is forged, where the old self dies and the new one emerges. You don't need validation for who you're becoming. You need consistency. You don't need likes. You need reps. You don't need an audience. You need alignment. And when the time comes, when you finally step into the room as that elevated, unrecognizable version of yourself, you won't need to say a word. The work will speak for you. The energy will shift. And the people who used to ignore you, they'll have no choice but to feel you. Not because you forced it, but because you earned it. So right now, build quietly, daily, with focus, with fire. Not for the world to notice, but for you to become someone the world can no longer ignore. That's the path. And most will never walk it, but you can. You just have to stop needing noise and start choosing power. The kind that speaks through action, the kind that doesn't chase, it attracts. The kind that's not built in the spotlight, but revealed by it. What the world sees is the outcome, the glow-up, the achievement, the success. What they don't see, what they'll never fully understand, is the obsession that built it, the daily discipline, the relentless commitment, the uncomfortable silence where the real transformation happened. Because make no mistake, greatness isn't loud in the beginning. It's hidden in routines, in the early mornings when no one's awake, in the late nights when everyone's quit, in the skipped parties, the unanswered texts, the lonely moments when you chose the mission over the moment. That's where it begins. Quiet, brutal, and beautiful. But most people will never experience this because they're addicted to being seen. They crave the appearance of progress more than the actual process. They want to look like they're working. You're different. You don't need the optics. You need the outcome. You don't need the performance. You need the proof. This is where your obsession is your edge. Not the unhealthy kind that burns you out, but the sacred kind, the obsession that aligns with your future, your identity, your highest standard. It's the version of obsession that says, this matters more than anything else right now, and I'm willing to go dark for it. I'm willing to disappear for it. I'm willing to sacrifice comfort, applause, distraction for the evolution of me. Because here's what no one tells you. The results will come. The recognition will come. The rewards, the impact, the power, they'll all show up. But only if you can stay disciplined long enough to outlast the silence. Silence is the test. That quiet space where nothing seems to be changing, that's where 99% quit. Because they think silence means failure. They think a lack of attention means a lack of progress. But the disciplined ones, they know better. They know the silence is sacred, that in the silence the work is multiplying, the roots are growing, the mind is sharpening, the body is transforming, the identity is evolving, slowly, invisibly, and inevitably. You build in silence so that later your life makes noise. And the only way to do that? Obsession and discipline welded together. Discipline is the structure. Obsession is the fire. Discipline gets you up every day. Obsession keeps you up at night with ideas, vision, strategy. Together, they make you unstoppable. The key is this: you don't wait until it feels good. You don't train when it's convenient. You don't work when it's easy. You become the kind of person who shows up regardless, who doesn't ask, do I feel like it today? But instead says, this is who I am now. Because that's the secret to long-term power, your identity. When discipline becomes a reflection of who you are and not just what you do, everything becomes effortless. You stop negotiating. You stop slipping. You stop resetting your life every time a feeling changes. And yes, it will feel like sacrifice at first. But one day, the things you once called sacrifice will feel like standard. Normal, automatic, that's when you know you've arrived. So build your discipline in silence. Protect it like a flame in the wind. Guard it like the key to your future, because it is. Wake up early without a post about it. Read without telling anyone. Train hard without showing the results. Build your skills when no one's asking. Disappear into your obsession, and reappear when you've built something undeniable. Let others wonder where you went. Let them question your silence. Let them think you quit until they see what you've become. Because in the end, they'll see the transformation. They'll see the strength. They'll feel the presence. And they'll know you didn't just talk about building something. You built it quietly, relentlessly, obsessively. That's the game most will never play. And that's why most will never rise. You don't need the world to believe in you. You just need the discipline to build without them. There comes a point on the path of quiet growth when you stop feeling the need to explain. Not out of pride, but out of peace. You stop updating the world on your every move. You stop trying to justify the long hours, the missed events, the silence. Why? Because you finally understand that results speak a language the world can't ignore. Let others talk. Let them post, perform, pretend. You've chosen a different kind of power, the one that doesn't broadcast every effort, but lets the outcome tell the story. Because here's the truth. The loudest voice in the room is often the one achieving the least. Real power doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to prove. It doesn't need attention. Real power simply is. You see, when you build yourself in silence, something incredible happens. You grow without interference. You evolve without input. You train in the shadows, far away from the noise, and that solitude gives you something rare: clarity, focus, freedom. You're no longer burdened by perception. You're not crafting a narrative. You're crafting results. And when those results arrive, they hit different, because no one saw the work, no one expected the rise. No one had time to form opinions, because you were too busy becoming undeniable. This is where most people get it backward. They chase perception instead of performance. They want to be seen working more than they want to win. They post screenshots of the gym but skip reps. They talk about discipline but only practice it when it's convenient. They crave respect but haven't earned results. You build the opposite way. You go quiet. You keep your head down. You let your craft, your physique, your business, your energy do the talking. And when people finally notice, when they start asking how you did it, you won't need to say a word. They'll see it. They'll feel it. They'll know. Because results remove all doubt. They silence critics. They cancel out gossip. They clear the fog of misunderstanding. You don't argue with results. You don't debate transformation. You witness it. And the only way to get there is to stay committed when no one's watching. So train hard even if no one cheers. Work late even if no one understands. Read more. Rest better. Study longer. Execute without applause. And here's the part most don't realize. The longer you delay the need for recognition, the more powerful you become. The more dangerous you become. Because while others are addicted to feedback, you've built an internal compass. You've learned how to move without applause, and that makes you unshakable. Because when the praise dries up, and it will, you keep moving. When the support fades, and it will, you keep building. When no one claps, you stay consistent, because your standards weren't set by the world. They were set by you. Let them underestimate you. Let them forget your name. Let them write you off. It's all fuel, because when you finally step out, when the product, the result, the transformation is ready, it won't be you saying, look what I did. It will be the work itself saying, this is who I've become. And that silence, that quiet dominance, that's what they'll remember. So keep going. Let your results speak so loudly no one ever questions your silence again. In the world you're building, energy is your most valuable currency. Not time, not money, not status. Because without energy, none of those things matter. You can have the best plan, the clearest vision, the sharpest strategy, but if your energy is fractured, distracted, or drained, you won't execute. You'll hesitate, you'll second guess, you'll slow down, and in a world that rewards speed, focus, and clarity, that delay is deadly. So let's make this clear. If you're serious about building yourself quietly, you have to start protecting your energy like your future depends on it. Because it does. This means making hard choices, saying no more than you say yes. It means cutting ties with people who drain you, even if they've known you for years. It means silencing the distractions that steal your focus, even if they're popular, even if they're addictive, even if everyone else is obsessed with them. You're not everyone. You're becoming something rare, and rare people move differently. Start asking this question daily. Does this add to my energy or take from it? That one filter will change your life, because the things that drain you the most are often disguised as normal. The endless scrolling, the casual gossip, the just one more episode mentality, the debates that go nowhere, the comparisons on social media. These habits seem small, but they're stealing your greatness 1 hour at a time. And the worst part? You don't even notice until it's too late, until your mind is foggy, your drive is gone, your spark feels dim, and you're asking, why do I feel off? The answer isn't always burnout from too much work. Often it's burnout from too little purpose and too much noise. So how do you eliminate it? You create boundaries and you enforce them relentlessly. Not because you're arrogant, not because you think you're better, but because you understand something they don't. You're building. And builders don't leave their blueprints out in the rain. Builders don't let just anyone walk onto the job site. Builders don't take every call, answer every DM, react to every opinion. They're too focused on the structure, on the mission. And that focus is sacred. Start protecting your mind like a temple. Guard the gates. Be selective with the information you consume. If it doesn't build you, don't let it in. If it doesn't fuel you, let it go. This doesn't mean you shut yourself off from the world. It means you become intentional. You stop being available for nonsense. You stop chasing validation. You stop spending time explaining your vision to people committed to misunderstanding it. Some people won't get what you're doing. Good. They're not supposed to. They don't need to. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them doubt. Every minute you spend trying to convince them is a minute stolen from your future, and you can't afford that. Your energy is for building, for rising, for staying sharp, clear, and relentless in your pursuit. So say it with me now. I do not explain myself to people who don't hear with intent. I do not give energy to things that don't multiply it. I do not waste focus on the distractions dressed as urgency. From now on, your energy is sacred. Protect it, preserve it, multiply it through discipline, environment, and intention. Because the man who owns his energy owns his direction. And the man who owns his direction owns the outcome. Let the world burn itself out, chasing attention, arguing, reacting, performing. You stay quiet, you stay centered, and you build. There's a reason the world underestimates you right now. They can't see the fire you're building in silence. They don't hear the conversations you're having with yourself at 2 a.m. They don't know the sacrifices, the early mornings, the nights you stayed disciplined when nobody was watching. And that's exactly how it should be. Because power built in the dark is the kind of power that lasts. Quiet effort doesn't need permission. It doesn't need praise. It just needs purpose. And when you carry that purpose day after day, in silence, in focus, in relentless execution, you start becoming the kind of person who no longer needs to speak, because your results do the talking. Your evolution is your response. Your presence becomes undeniable. So don't worry if they're not watching now. Don't rush to prove anything. Don't waste your voice trying to be heard in rooms that were never meant to understand your blueprint. Just keep laying the bricks. Keep stacking the habits. Keep refining the details of who you are becoming. Because eventually, they'll see. And when they do, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because the life you built became too loud to ignore. Let your silence be your shield. Let your progress be your proof. Let your discipline echo louder than any announcement ever could. You don't need applause. You don't need understanding. You just need one thing: to keep moving. You build quietly, so you can rise powerfully. And if you're walking this path, if you feel something shifting inside of you, subscribe right now. Because what you're building in the dark is about to shake the world. This is not the end. This is the foundation. There's more coming, more to unlock, more to refine. And if you're serious about staying on this journey, don't just watch, commit. Because we're only getting started. And watch the next video. Your mind will thank you for it. Until then, stay focused, stay silent,